Hi friends, Christine here, and today I want to show you how to assemble these simple envelope journals. And the story behind it is that a really good customer contacted me and said, could I create a custom design that went with a project she was doing that used the observation, reflections, and whatever the third one is of my kits. And she asked, could I make a fourth one that would be sort of a folder or pocket journal where little tidbits could be kept. And so that's what I've done. And it turned out really great. I love it. So here you can see there are 2 envelopes in each signature. And each signature in this case is color coordinated, so it all goes together and looks lovely, and then can be created to be just an envelope journal. So this is part of the custom design. It's one of a couple designs I did, but then I took some existing covers from my pocket companions and created others. So here you can see more ledger paper, no flowers, and this one also has a fold out so that there are 3 envelopes together in one of the signatures. And this one has notebook paper. Again, I think this is from my Necessary Papers kit. I think that's where I got that from. And then so I cut that to fit, and then I made the envelope part. So I'm going to show you how to do that. It's easy and fun and so versatile. I mean, there's so many ways you can combine these different signatures together to create all sorts of effects. So let's get to work, and I'll show you how easy it is. So making these is really simple. Take my word for it. I'm going to show you a couple of ways, things you can do. For example, so on this one, I used different papers and made envelopes that were alike in some areas and different in others. And on this one, I even have a pull-out. So there's 3 envelopes together, and I will show you how to do that. And then on this one, the envelopes all match. So each signature, this one isn't sewn together yet, but each signature is the same. So that's one look, and then this look. These are sewn in already, so I can't really show you the difference, but you can see I added multiple different print envelopes to get kind of a boho patchwork look. So, what do we need to do? It's so easy. So here's a cover. Could be any cover. This is the new cover, but you know, it could be any cover. You can make your own cover. So basically, if you want the matched version, like this, excuse me, there's a lot of pollen in the air, and so my sinuses are insane, or my allergies, and so my throat is kind of funky. But that said, so if you want this style where everything matches, then you want 2 copies of each envelope that you want to use. And then if you want to mix and match, which you can, and everything is color coordinated in the kits that I provide, but again, you know, do whatever you want with any paper you have. This is just an idea. So basically, we have to cut these out. And now these are printed on cheapo copy paper. I mean, probably not the cheapest ever on the planet copy paper, but pretty darn cheap copy paper. So I still will always score, even on these skinny little papers, because I feel like it gives me a nicer fold. So I'm going to do that. I'm just showing you one, and then I'll go off and magically cut out the others. So I'm following these dotted lines, which are always score lines. Solid lines on my kits are cut lines, and dotted lines are score lines. And that's pretty much a standard technique. Cutting there, and here. Okay, so I've scored this one, and now I'm going to cut it out. So there, you just trim to the edge. And I put in a nice new Happy Knife blade, so I shouldn't have any issues with it not cutting all the way through. And you could probably hear the air conditioner because it's hotter than Hades today. Actually, it's not that hot. It's only like 80, but it's humid. so I've got the air conditioner going. Alright, so I'm just cutting. The usual stuff that you always do. Oh, I did not go all the way. And again, you can cut these out with scissors. Makes no difference to me. I just like ultra straight lines. So these little guys you can even do by hand. You don't even need the ruler. They're easy. The longer ones, yeah, I don't know. We'll go with the ruler. Okay, so yep, you do that one. Okay, so here you have basically just a regular old envelope. There's nothing that exciting about this. The excitement comes when we join two of them together and make actually a folio. So I'm going to go magically cut out the others and then come back and show you how to assemble them. So now I'm going to show you, I have two cut out of the same, in this case the same pattern, but again you can mix and match. And what you want to do is basically you want one envelope to be part of the back of the other envelope. So one thing you need to consider is, do you want your flap on the front, like do you want it here when you open your notebook? Do you want to see the flap right away, or do you want it to be on the back page? So in mine, I prefer to not see it because I might decorate this front page, and then the flap will be on the back. So you need to know that going in so that you arrange your papers correctly. So essentially that means you want this side, the unflapped side, to be on the right, because that will give you the right hand page as it is here. Again, you want to reverse it. Well, I can't show it you reverse here, but if you want to reverse it, reverse it. So if you do it this way, then the page that's going to be on the right, your first page, is going to be a flapped page. So you decide on which side you want the flap, and I want it on the back. So it's simply a matter of aligning these so that they meet up. So I kind of try and just line up the flaps, the bottom flaps or the top flaps, whichever, on a line, just so I can kind of get it straight. And then I give it a skosh of room. So I don't line it up completely here to here, these two angles. I give it a little bit of room because it's going to have to fold. So let's see about there and about there. Okay, so now I'm going to glue one side. And I'm using the good quick glue just to make life simple. Although I think it's not going to come out. Oh, no, it's coming out. Oh, there it goes. It just bursted its little heel there. Okay, so I'm going to close this up like so. And then I'm going to actually give it a fold. Actually, that's not true. Now I'm going to give it a fold and just get it sort of settled into its space. So there we go. That's filled in. We flip it over and same thing. And it doesn't matter. I mean, you can flip it that way. You know, you could decide whichever edge you would like to show. In this case, I'm just going to let this one show. And a little like so. All right, easy enough, yes? And one thing I'll mention while I'm going to let that glue dry for a second is this is cheap copy paper, but I did one, my first one, on my favorite paper, that HP Premium stuff, and it's also fabulous. It takes a great print, it's a good sturdy paper, but you also don't need it. You can use cheap copy paper. I think depending on the project, I would use one over the other, but I'm just saying, you know, if you want a little bit sturdier paper, then go for something like the HP Premium, because that's 32-pound paper and this is 20-pound paper. So, oh, that's weird. Looks like it discolored a little. I've never had that happen before. It only happened in there. I don't know if that's going to stay or dry or what. So be aware that on cheaper paper, you might have that issue. again, this is the first one I've had the issue with. I've done these others. Well, I guess maybe there's, I don't know. I inked that, so who can tell, right? Now, I'm not really seeing any problems there, but I do see a little bit of a blurring here. Regardless, use any paper you like. Consider that could happen, depending on the paper you choose. All right, so then what I like to do always is add a little thumb hole here. So you might as well do that now, and it's very easy. You just stick your little chomper in and kind of guess. I mean, I'm just guessing. That's a little skimpy. Let's give it a little bit bigger. So what I'm doing is I'm simply lining it up by eye. Like, is that close to the middle? Oh, I just moved it. Shoot. Okay, let's try that again. All right, that's better, and it still is covered by the flap. And you could do the other side, same thing. And I'm normally kind of anal about these things, but I'm not feeling it today, so we're just going to let it be what it is. Okay, now we want to zip these closed, the bottoms. And there is something else I'll mention. When you're putting these together, like for example, this one had an up and a down because it has writing on it, so you would know which is the down. On some of these others, like these, it's hard to know which is the top and which is the bottom. So you do want to pay attention to it because the bottom flap is smaller. This little flap here is smaller than the top flap. So be aware, stay involved. Okay, so now I've closed that up. Close it up. Close that up. And that up. And now you can see I have my first signature for the envelope journal. Let's put that over there. Close the glue up because we know how much glue loves to be left in the open air. And so now I'm going to do a few more, and I'll show you how easy it is to sew it in, and then you have a really cute envelope journal. So be back. Okay, so I've cut out a couple more, and I'm going to show you how to do the little flip out, which is very easy. I'm only going to do it with 3. You could keep going. You'll see. You could just keep adding little envelopes and have it accordion out for as long as you want, or as long as your cover will accommodate. So a couple of things. One is, in my last one when I did a demo, I showed you how the glue sort of funked up on my inkjet print here, which I've never had happen, and it didn't happen on this side, so I have no idea what that's about. But I wanted to show you that instead of using a glue like this, or even our favorite, which is also good, and I've done it with these, you can use glue stick. It's that simple. It's a paper to paper to bond. It's not a big deal. So I'm going to first fold all of these a little bit. Now I would ink them, but I'm not going to, because inking time is hard to get back, isn't it? So I'm going to do this and just give them all a little fold so that we know when we're constructing where the edges are. So there we go. And so those two match. This one is a color coordinated part of the ensemble. You can see I overcut that by a lot. So let's see, I'll go with that. Fold up the bottom and the top. All right, so now essentially we have basically 3 regular coin envelopes. Nothing sexy here. But when we start adding them together differently or assembling them together differently, we get something a little bit more fun. So what we want to do is decide. So I'm going to use the first 2. God, I feel like I'm a lazy speaker today. I'm going to use the matching 2 and put them together. So remember, you want to keep the tops aligned to the top, and you want to know which side you want the flap on. So in my case, I almost always like the flap on the back. So I have a blank space where I might collage or something or write notes, and then I have the flap on the back. So to do that, I want the flap to be on the back, and this will be a right-hand page. So I'm going to put it on the right, put this on the left. So now we are going to line them up really simply. Basically, you would just line them up so that they meet at this edge, so the fold meets, but then you're going to scoot it over a little bit because you need to give it a little room to fold. Okay, so I'm going to put this here. Now, before I use this glue, this time I'm using glue stick. I'm just going to take a piece of scrap paper, hold it down here, make sure I haven't adjusted it too much, which I think I just did. That looks good. So there's a little bit shy of 1/8 of an inch in the corner here where these flaps meet. I'm going to hold it down. And again, I just moved it, so let me move it back. And now I'm just going to run along this edge. Oh, that's not dandy. Oh, look at you guys. Okay, this happens. I mean, you know, stuff happens while we're making stuff, so I'm going to leave this in. I'm not going to edit it out. I'm just going to fix it because it's very fixable. Okay, so I got too much glue, first of all, there. Hold that. I love Oohoo glue, but I don't like the big ones. I prefer the little ones, but since I can't find them locally. All right, so there's one. Okay, so that's done. So now, if we were doing a, quote, normal folio, like such, that just gets folded in, has 2 pockets, we would simply glue these flaps together, and then we have 2. But we don't want to do that. We want to do 3. And we're going to add this other happy little flap to it. This guy. So now it's the same idea though. So we're going to do this. There's actually 2 ways to do it. Okay, a couple of things. One, remembering to align the tops up, the flaps. But I'm going to go this way just because it's easier to demonstrate. Normally I'd go the other way. You want to make sure again that the top flaps, which are a little bit taller, are aligned. And now we'll take some more scrap paper and let's make sure we've aligned them here and here. That looks good. It's all pretty much aligned. This one's kind of funky because this plaid is really throwing me off in terms of the pattern design and whether or not something is straight. So I'll put a piece of scrap paper here. I'm just going to run along this edge. So I'm running along the opposite edge. It's also, as I mentioned, 4,000 degrees today, so the glue is really melty. So now I've done this. I'm going to take this edge and put it there. Okay, so now we flip it over and you can see, I bet you can guess what's going to happen next. This guy's going like this, okay? And we're going to line that up. And again, you can choose which side you want on the top. I'm going to go with the plaid on the top. That paper is really skeevy, so I'm going to take another piece of scrap paper and just go along just the very edge with the glue stick. And then the magic of it all. We're going to fold it over and create the third envelope. So now the reason I did not chomp, let me close up my melty glue. I didn't chomp my thumb hole, which I like, until I glued it together because you need them to be glued together because this is where it's going to go. So you can see it goes at each intersection of the sides. So now I'll grab my little guy. I know I always say guy, but I'm going to come in and I'm lining it up sort of with this, figuring that's sort of in the center, and now I have a cute little thing. And again, you can make it as deep as you want or as narrow, or you could skip it all together. So let's see. That's how I like it, just about there. And again, I would have inked, but I can't get the inking time back. And not everybody inks, so you're on your own. If you ink, I would ink, oh, that was terribly shallow. I would ink before you glue, so that you'd have some definition in these seams as well. That's just me, you do you, and we're all good. Okay, so now we do want to close up the bottoms. So I shouldn't have closed up the glue. So now I'm just going to, I'll just use this again. I'm just going to put a little glue on the bottom. Bottom number 1, fold it up. Bottom number 3 actually, but it's facing up already, so I'm just going to add some glue to it. And flip this over and do that final little bottom. And there we go. All right, so now a couple of things. One, when you're making a 2-envelope folio page, you don't have to glue the middle, where is it? Because it's going to get sewn in here. So if I open this up, you can see it opens up as a full envelope. But once it's sewn in, it will never open up that way again. But here, we're having a fold out. So it's possible that you'll want to add just a smidge of glue. Okay, I should stop talking about that while I'm folding. So this is where we were. Now I'm folding one, and I'm going to take this one and fold it like a Z. Okay. So now, when I put my little folio into my book, or my card, or whatever, it is going to be like so. So basically, I'm going to sew it into here, or I'm going to sew it into here. Either way, at one of the seams, you're going to sew it into the cover. So now you can see I have 3 envelopes. And again, you could keep adding on. I'd love to see like the maximum number you can get. But this is how easy it is. It's just a matter of adding that 3rd envelope, or 4th, 5th, whatever. And you can add it into your book any way you like. So here, if I sewed it in this way with my 3 whole pamphlet stitch going here, and I am going to demonstrate that, then this flap side would be on the front facing page. You know, it would be on the right hand side page. I'd open this up, and then I'd have another envelope, and then I open this up and I have a blank spot, but then if I opened it up again, I have another envelope. So that's all we have to do. It's that simple. I'm going to get my other supplies, like my awl and such, and show you how easy it goes into a cover. I'll be back. All right, so the glue has had plenty of time to dry, and it's all good. I've got my trio of pockets here. And again, because we're going to sew in one seam, it doesn't need to be glued there, but you might want to glue even just a couple of dots of glue through here in the fold out flap. I'm not going to. I think what I'm going to carry in here, or what I'm going to store in here, will be fine. It doesn't need the glue, but you could do that. So I am also going to add just a couple of sheets of regular paper because I want to. So I'm going to stick my little envelopes on the inside of that, and then they will come out of the notebook. So this was the newest notebook, the one that was part of the custom work I did for one of my very favorite clients. And this one is the one I'm going to actually make because I want to give it to a friend. So what I'm going to do is do a test fit and just make sure everything is going to fit well, and it looks like it is. And again, making sure that the flaps are up for the envelope. And these are just pages I printed out of one of my kits, my Ledger Pages Essential Papers kit, so that there's notebook space as well. But it's really meant for the envelopes. That's the point, to put little pressed flowers and cuttings and other various things that you might want to stick in your book. So here's how easy it is. All right, so we know that that's what we're going to sew into. And you know that I use an old dictionary as my cradle. We don't need the glue anymore. Let me get rid of that. So I find a nice good crease in here. And again, align everything. So I want my envelope, which all the envelopes are designed to be slightly smaller than the pages so that they fit in. That's all. So you kind of want to align them. So if you want, you can do things like clip the pages together, and that will help everything stay in one spot. And we just want to put 3 holes in here. So we basically want one in the middle, because we're going to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. So we kind of eyeball it to be in the middle. And I'm going to guess it's about there. Push that in. And then I'm going to open that up, about 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch down, maybe a 1/2 inch. Use your judgment for how many papers you're putting in. Let's say, we'll do maybe about 5/8 of an inch there. And when you pick it up, you just want to make sure that the holes go all the way through, because if they don't, you want to adjust that now. You want to poke them again now. But mine are going all the way through. Then we want to grab a needle from our bookbinding supplies, and just any needle will do. This is a very easy job. So I'm going to take that one. And then we want, this is waxed linen or bookbinder's thread, and that's what I'm going to use. You can use embroidery floss, you can use upholstery floss. This is a very lightweight job. You can use almost anything you want. And as usual, I am going to cut more than I need, but I'd rather do that now than waste it later. And then we want to, if it's waxed linen, you kind of want to tug on it and get things activated, and it will all bend a little better and go into the needle a little bit better and go through the holes a little bit better. So now you need to decide, you want your final knot on the outside or the inside. And for this, I'm going to keep it on the outside because there's a lot of bulk going on, you know, with all these envelopes. So I'm going to start from the outside so that I end on the outside. And I'm basically going to just stick it in that middle hole, and let's see how good I can get at getting it through. I missed one. I missed the actual envelopes. So this is where, there we go. So I've gone through that middle hole. I'm going to come out. I'm going to go through one of the other holes, upper or lower, doesn't matter. I'm going to stick it in the hole there. And so let it come out. And you want to make sure you're not going to hook your flap there or the clamps. Okay. Then we come all the way down. We can pull a little bit more into the center because I have so much extra, but that's just the way I do it. I'm so, I don't know, neurotic about running out of thread. I'm going to go into the bottom and make sure that we're coming out through all the layers. There we go. Good. Okay. So now I'm going to pull a little bit more thread into my needle. And now we go through the middle. Now once we go through the middle again, we want to make sure that our vertical thread, the thread that's following the spine, we want it in between these two threads, the two loose threads, so that we could tie it together. So now it is all tied, or it's all sewn. So I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to tighten it simply by pulling, and you can see that that tightened right up. There's like no tension. I mean, it's all tension. It's flat on the inside, and now we're just going to knot it up. And I'm going to do a basic square knot. You could do a bow as well if you want something decorative, but that's it right there. So now I would trim this or make a bow or something. I'm just going to trim it. You could add beads to it. I mean, there's so much you could do with it, but I'm just going to trim it like so. And now I will also probably stick this under a book weight of some sort. But you can see we have a couple of pages for notes, one envelope, 2 envelopes, 3 envelopes, and that's how easy it is. So, you know, use this any way you like. I mean, it fits with all of these little pocket companions, the notebook that I've had out for a while now. All the envelopes I'm creating for these will fit those. So, you know, go wild. I mean, just use whatever you like. But that's how simple it is. This is a newer one. A lot of people haven't seen this one. So anyway, that's it. Envelope journals that are flexible, and you can use different variations and different images and different paper and have all sorts of fun things go on. So go create, be awesome.